Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week of It's in the Cards. Welcome to all the new faces that I see out there. Feel free, there's new faces. Feel free to log in. You can join the chat that way. We'll be answering questions that get posted in the chat room throughout the show. If we have time at about past, I will get the phone line opened as well for you to call in during the show and speak with my guest this evening personally. Her name is Sara Sachs, and she is a professional psychic and medium. She's local here in Pennsylvania. She's out in Pittsburgh. I always like to get a nearby neighbor in the area or thereabouts. Pittsburgh's about 6 hours away from me, so not that close. She's joining me this evening for the first time, so I want to go over a little bit of her background for you all. She's able to see spirit, which is clairvoyant, and she can hear spirits, clairaudient. Since childhood, we will find out about how she got started and discovered her abilities as soon as I bring her on. She's also, in the summer, she can be found in Lilydale out in New York, so we're going to discuss that. And I have a couple of things that I saw that she had posted over the last couple days on Facebook that has curiosities going that I'm going to be asking her about, along with your questions. I don't want to waste any more time because I know you're going to be loaded with the questions, so I want to bring Sara on. Sara, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Terrific. Tomorrow's the first day of spring. It is Wednesday night. The traditional winter, for the most part, has been snow, but, tonight it's rain, which is fantastic to finally have for a change.
I think everybody's a little tired of winter right now.
Yes. All over. We hit, with the 3-4 inches of snow that was here. You probably didn't get anything over in Pittsburgh this past Monday. But
no, we didn't.
They broke the record. They were like 1 or 2 inches short of the second heaviest, snowiest winters. That record got broken and made second place after all that weight stuff all winter long, coping with it.
Well, you had to have one last kicker in there, I guess, but we were very lucky here that we kind of missed that.
Yes. You got hit with how about the ice storm that took the power out all over? Did you get that up there?
No, I don't think we did. I think it got a little slick, but it didn't. Of course, it seems like in a lot of instances it wasn't as bad as they had predicted it would be.
Yeah, it came down this way this year. Everything. You guys up north really didn't get too much.
Well, it looks like we're through the worst of it. And I was with a friend yesterday, and I got this psychic flash that because it was a rough winter and spring's coming late this year, I think that love is going to be bursting out all over. I think people are just going to be hooking up right and left. I think it's going to be one of those springs.
Yes. And they're saying backtracking on the snowiest winters that we've had, the hottest summers have followed. So we'll see. Right now, hot sounding wonderful. And we're on our way to it. So.
Right, yes, I know. And, well, of course, everybody I'll always look forward to the summer and spending some time up in Lilydale and spending time between Lilydale here and some other places doing events and things like that. So I really love the summertime.
Yes, yes. You don't have to worry about travel plans having to be changed.
Right, yes. It was, I will say that going to a lot of events was a pretty scary experience, more so this winter than I can remember in quite a while. So I'm not sorry to see that over with now.
Right. So let's get the show going here. How did you realize in childhood what abilities you had? And what exactly you are, and what was going on?
Okay, well, it's kind of funny because I think I was one of those, because of when I grew up, I think I was one of those people that, I when I was seeing spirit and my parents said, oh, look, she has an imaginary friend, isn't that cute? But that was very typical back in those, back in those times. So, and I didn't think of it too much until over the years I started kind of adding things up. But it really wasn't until about 10 years ago when I, just as a lark, I went to a development circle in Lilydale and was told by a couple of the mediums sitting in the circle that they thought I had some ability and I should develop it and look into it, which I did. And then I just thought over about all the things that has happened since childhood, and it was like a big light bulb went on, and I said, oh, well, that explains everything. Now it all adds up. Yeah, so, and I think that's probably not really rare. I think it happens with a lot of people like me.
It happens a lot. You just think that everybody can do this.
I think it was normal.
Yeah, right. And I know I just always considered it, strong instincts. Very good instincts, being able, to read people, read situations, common sense in some things. You throw it up to things like that, unless, of course, you're seeing and sensing spirits, which I did not do that as a child. I mean, I had the imaginary friends too, but, it was when I got older, for me, that I had the run-ins with the other side and actually realized that that's what it was, because we started knowing that it was relatives or friends coming through.
Right. I pretty much used to kind of put it off as that, wow, I have a really good imagination, that sort of thing. And, oh, isn't that a coincidence? And then it just, after a while, you kind of realize that it all falls together, is just pretty much of what has happened. And one thing that I did look back on was realizing that having certain dreams and then they kind of came true, that I thought, wow, if that wasn't a sign, I don't know what was. So it was a whole lot of things, like that. Plus, as a child, like leaving, I don't know if you ever had, like, leaving your body and floating above it in the room and that sort of thing.
Right, yes. I remember middle school, 6th, 7th grade, being outside. It was, when we were done eating, you had enough time to go outside on the grounds if you wanted. And they were on the hill doing whatever game they were doing, and I was standing there. And it was really strange, because I was standing there and I'm like, I'm having deja vu. And I can't explain it. I couldn't explain it then, but then as I'm standing there and things are happening and certain kids are tackling or whatever specific kids, I was having the flashbacks. I had dreamt it the night before. Oh,
yes.
Yeah, that was the very first time with my dreams, because I've never really been one to remember them too often. But that was one of the ones where, oh, okay, that's why I feel like I'm, it was kind of like being in the Twilight Zone. Like, what's going on here? Why is this so familiar?
Well, I think that, yes, and I really believe from looking back on childhood dreams that when you remember them very vividly, like every detail, I think that that's really the difference between just having a dream and being visited by spirit. It's hard to explain how the dream sort of takes on a whole different energy from just between being a dream and having spirit visit you.
Right.
Because when I was 11 years old, a friend of mine at school had got very ill, and she passed away from leukemia, and that really, everybody was very, very upset. And for a while, I had dreams that she and I were doing stuff that we used to do after school, like jumping rope in the street, that sort of thing. And it was very, very vivid, and I kept having that dream. And then I think it was after the last one that I had of that, when she said, it's really time for me to go. I can't visit you like this anymore, so this is goodbye. And I think that I realized that this was a lot more of a dream, that she was with us, playing with us to get us used to the fact that she had crossed over. So it was a very profound thing, and I even wrote an essay about it in college in my freshman English class, and the teacher read it, and she had said it was, incredibly sensitive, it should be published. And I really think that I dashed it off at 3 o'clock in the morning the night before it was due, just remembering that from a number of years ago. And I really think that it was her just speaking through me as a reminder of that sort of thing. So there are incidents like that makes me realize that it was more than dreams, that I was actually communicating with the spirit of this friend. It was a school friend of mine.
Right. Now, does your family, parents, anybody also have any kind of abilities?
Well, I don't think that I have kind of come to believe that probably so, but it's something that has not really been acknowledged that much. My brother is pretty intuitive, but he would never admit to it, actually. But it was one instance being that, a number of years ago, we were talking about baseball, and it was around the Christmas holiday, and I think it was like a couple years after we had won the 1971 World Series, and he said he didn't think they had much of a chance, and he said, especially without Roberto Clemente. And I said, well, what do you mean? He's got a few good years left, and that was the end of the conversation. And then a couple of days later, he died in that plane crash going to Nicaragua. But I told my brother, wow, you really called that one? He said, oh, no, he was just getting ready to retire, so he just didn't quite want to own up to that. But he said that in such a way, it was like, ooh, this is kind of strange. So it's things like that. I'm the only one that ever really, developed it, I have to say.
And acknowledged it, right.
Right, yes. But I have seen it in family members.
I do want to touch on something before we get into Lily Dillon thing, so that I don't forget.
Sure.
Because it caught my attention on Facebook, one of your posts that you made. Now, people know what a seance is, but I noticed some kind of a post that you said, you're going to be doing a flower seance.
Oh, okay. I have been doing those for several years, and they're really, really popular. And basically what they are is, if you've seen people give public demonstrations and give messages to people in the audience.
Right.
Okay, well, I do that, but I do it with a flower, and it's a tradition that goes back to the Victorian era, because, the Victorians loved their flowers, and people don't realize that they it wasn't only the seances with red lights and dark rooms that they did this for afternoon teas and and garden parties with a medium coming, and the medium would hand different flowers to it would give messages. It would give a flower with a message, and there's so many meanings that it could be the person in spirit loved the flowers, they wore that color a lot, they may have passed in that, it's the season where the flower blooms, it may have been part of the funeral, it may have been part of their name, or a number of those things, and it is a really, really, really nice thing. I really enjoy doing them so much, and I have had some very good feedback from people. I saw some people that I had done just recently, last August, had done it at a picnic, and they really, I didn't remember, of course, what I had said, but they were telling me how moved they were by it. So it really adds another dimension to it, and as I say, it's something from a long time ago that was very traditional. So there are a few of us that like to do that, and people really love it, because you might give someone a rose and say, like, I give this to you for, like, someone had reminded me recently, like, I give this to you from your husband, and maybe something that he had said when he gave the flower, and then the person is very, very moved. So it does add a whole new dimension to doing gallery readings.
Right, right. Okay. That's interesting. I've never heard that being done in that way.
Now, I do that, things like I do that at fairs. I've done it for bridal and, showers and that sort of thing. Just as something a little bit different than your regular message giving.
Right, right. Now, how do you get your messages? I know, when I introduce you, you hear and see spirit. When somebody's coming to you wanting contact with somebody, so everybody works differently, and some mediums ask who you're hoping comes through and asks for a specific name of a person. Others just say, don't have anybody specific in mind when you come, because you never know who's going to come through. How does it work for you?
Okay, it's what you just mentioned was pretty much, if you're familiar with John Edward, that's I've kind of gotten that from him, because I believe it's very true. It's like, we hope we can bring through the ones you want to hear from, but we have no control over who comes through. And the way it works is that with me, it could be a name that's connected to the person. It could be how they looked, what they did for a living, and how they passed away. And it always comes through just a little bit different. A lot of times it's quirks in the personality. And many times I might be bringing someone in, and then in the mid-description, the sitter will interrupt and say, you know what? Now we're getting to be, that's more like the other grandfather, and that's what's known as piggybacking, because once one comes in, they bring others in too. But it's best for people, I believe strongly, it's best for people to not have expectations as to who's going to come through. But if they really have their heart set on someone, I can always pick up and say, I know there's someone you really want to hear from. And, if you could just, usually it's just like one thing, like they'll say, I was hoping to hear from so-and-so. And then you see if you can pick up on the vibration, and there may be a name, what they did for a living, that sort of thing. And in some occasions, they may not choose to come through. It could be recent deaths, and sometimes it's things like murders or suicides, or they may come through, but it's like you really have to drag them out, too. So we never know what's going to happen. That's the whole thing. But it's always best I tell people to send some healing thoughts and positive thoughts about that person. And I usually do bring through the people that they want to have come through, but sometimes we tell people not to be too disappointed because there are rare occasions if for whatever reason that one is, it's not time for that person to come through, and that maybe at a later date they might.
Right, right. Okay. Now, we will open up the telephones in a bit, in about 8-9 more minutes or so. What are you going to need if somebody wants to call in and see if anybody has a message for them that crossed over?
Okay. I like to hear the sound of their voice. And now, did you tell me before that they were going to ask a question?
We don't know. They might ask questions. It depends. I never know what anybody that calls in is going to do. Sometimes there's questions that they have for the guests about what they do and their abilities, things like that. Other times they call in, for a reading when we have time. So I never know who's calling in. Sometimes I don't even, who calls in, I don't even know. Sometimes I do. They're regulars, things like that. I have no idea what anybody out there.
I usually like to hear the sound of their voice, and sometimes I'll ask them for their birthday because it gives me a little bit. I'm not a really great astrologer, but it gives me a little bit of a focus. And, but it's just because I do a lot of phone readings, and the vibration of the voice is really important for that. So I always have a little preliminary, not to ask them questions about who do you want to come through or anything, but just talking to them in general about what they expect for the reading, or if they've asked them if they've ever had a reading. And in that way, I do get a sense of the vibration of their voice, which helps me to, clue in and see what's going on.
Okay. I will be giving out, they're asking for the phone number. I will be giving that out in about 5 minutes or so once we're ready to take the phone calls. I wanted to clarify what you just explained, Sarah, just because if anybody's in the chat room and they want to make contact, you need them to call in if they want to see if anybody's able to come through for them, rather than just type it out into the chat room, correct?
Right, yes. I tried looking. I'm not a very technical person, and I tried looking in the chat room, and it kind of got confusing, so I'm just sort of like not looking at anything right now, just so I don't have any, interference of energy or trying to use my left brain too much to figure out what's going on and that sort of thing. So,
yeah, when you don't do it regularly, it gets challenging and overwhelming. It takes a little getting used to being able to do all that.
Right, yes.
What about, have you ever run into any situation where nobody comes through?
But there are times when, and it happens to everybody, there are times when the chemistry isn't right and you just may not connect to somebody. And I don't know a single medium where that has never happened to. I think even people like John Edward has written about it in his books. It happens. It's not an everyday occurrence, but it just happens from time to time, and those are the cases where we may start a reading, and you give it 5 or 10 minutes, and you may be giving them some evidence, and they say no, and it's kind of like we're not connecting. The reading, we're going to end the reading, and there is no charge. So it does happen.
Okay.
But I think I look at it as the same chemistry as like people going out on dates and falling in love. Like sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't, and you just can't explain it.
Right. We're going to open up the phone lines. I asked that because I have really yet to come across a medium that's able to pick up anybody for me that comes through, which surprises me and doesn't. But we do have a question pertaining to this, and then I'm going to go over some rules
Okay.
for the newbies regarding calling in, and I'll give out the phone number. The question that is being asked, I had to type back for some clarification on it, is do you ever find yourself overwhelmed where for maybe one specific person you're doing a reading for, too many spirits come through wanting to make contact?
That is kind of, that does happen because there are a lot of people that, especially with people that are a little bit older, or people that have been in the military, but they have a lot of spirits in the background. So I try to deal with it with a little bit of humor and say to some of them, like, come on, folks, just one at a time, or a couple of you need to stand back a little bit. So sometimes it's just like you try to take control of the situation and say, I'd like to get you all in, but I may not be able to, but the most important ones will come through. And there are times when you have somebody, there's always that very strong figure where they won't let, that just like they were in life, they wouldn't let anybody get a word in edgewise.
Right.
And I've done readings where that's happened, and the sitter is sitting there. I said, this guy is, he's just not letting anybody. And they'll be laughing and laughing. They said, "Oh my God, they haven't changed a bit."
Right.
And, they just haven't changed a bit. So again, it is pretty much of the continuity of life, a thing which is, it's for most of us. Many of us may not always talk about it, but most of us are in the faith of spiritualists, which that's what the community of Lilydale is all about. And it's with spiritualism it's the belief in the continuity of life, that we do not die, we leave our bodies, but we do not die. Right. And that's what mediumship is there to prove, is the continuity of life.
I'm going to give out the phone number, and we will open the phone line for new people out there. Welcome. And I have a few rules to go over, besides the fact that Sara does need you to call in for a connection to be made. The general ongoing rules that we have is if you're calling in, I need the show turned off. Otherwise, we're just going to get the feedback coming through from the show playing and not going to be able to hear you. So we don't have hold ability. So while we are on with a caller and you're wanting to call in, I need you to please wait until we have finished and disconnected with the current caller. And then...
Can I add something here, too, that I don't think we went over, but what has happened on a number of, when I've been on these shows, is I may be giving a message to someone, and they're not quite getting it, but it could be possibly for somebody else that's waiting in the phone queue. I just had to say that it.
Okay. Okay. I need to finish up mine.
Okay.
The one phone call. I completely lost train of thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. The one phone call, I forget what I'm missing now, turning off the volume, and we can only keep it to one question, and if you are looking for a reading and not communication with somebody that's crossed, we need a specific question asked, because obviously we have time restraints here, so this is going to be, quick mini readings, whatever we're able to get. And we will open the phone line right now. The number, in case you're not sitting in the chat room to see it, is 615-692-1262. Again, keep the volume off, please, and only one call at a time. Thanks. Lilydale starts. When does that start up? While we're waiting for people to.
It starts the very end of June. And the season starts and it goes to Labor Day.
Till Labor Day, okay. And you're there how is it weekends? How does it work for people that don't know anything about it?
Well, I'm back and forth depending on what I have going on because I travel around a little bit, but there are workshops, daily message services, a healing temple, and all kinds of classes and lectures and that sort of thing. And they've had the big celebrity mediums like James Van Praagh and Lisa Williams that'll come in and do message presentations, and they have daily open air message services, which the registered mediums in Lilydale and the visiting mediums like me will get up and give short messages. And then in that way, some people that don't want to go get a full reading, they take a chance and maybe they'll get a message at some of these services. And everybody loves that.
Speaking of wanting to get messages, we have a caller. Hello, caller.
Hello, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm calling because I have been very fortunate in the last couple weeks, and I think that there's somebody who has passed that has something to do with my success. And I'm just curious if there's anything.
I just heard Mom. Go ahead, but I'm not the medium on one here. Sarah is. So Sarah.
Okay. So what is your name?
My name is Gina.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. It's just to get a little vibration. So you feel as though you have a presence of someone around that is crossed over?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking me? And I'm getting a sense that it is a female. Would that be? Is that what you're sensing?
Yes.
You don't. Oh, okay. All right. I am getting. This is. I get a lot of sensory things going, and I was getting a sense of the smell of flowers. Like that person may have liked to have been out in the garden a lot, or that there might have been a springtime or summertime passing with this person. And this is I do have to agree. This is kind of coming in on a motherly vibration. Would this be mother or grandmother?
My mother.
Okay, your mother. And was she the type of person that did she like flowers? Because I keep getting flowers.
One of her favorite flowers is daffodils, and this is daffodil season.
Oh yes, so so there is I have to say a lot of times that when they come in with their favorite flowers, and she's also showing me some tulips too. They also have a message to say, especially if you're getting a sense that they're very nearby. When they bring these flowers in, they want to tell you that there's something you need to pay very, very careful attention to when you see these flowers blooming. And I really get a sense that she's telling you that there's something that's been going on where you deserve so much better. It could be around a job, a relationship, that sort of thing, but I really get a sense that she's saying that it's sometime in between the tulips and the daffodils and the tulips, that there will be an opportunity presenting itself to you that you really need to take advantage of, because it's something that you may have kind of dismissed out of hand that she really thinks that you need to be taking advantage of. And I'm being shown some books. Is there any thought of maybe going back to school or something that you need to learn to advance yourself?
Well, I've thought about going back to school, but it's nothing I've really thought about recently.
Okay, well, she's pushing those books right at you. It's almost like if she ever nagged you to do your homework, it's coming in on that energy. She's saying, stop just thinking about it. You really need to do it and act on it. Because this is a big year that everybody's been going through these changes the past couple years. And this is really the time where you really need to just not be thinking about it anymore. And she wants you to take some action and feels as though this is the time of year. Now, you may not start till the summer or the fall, but she wants you to put this into motion because she feels as though your life will be getting a lot better. And I have to ask you, do you know anybody by the name of a Jean or Jane?
I know a Jane.
Okay, how is she?
Jean Ann?
Okay, because she's giving
Jean Ann, yes. Jean Ann.
Sorry. I had to interrupt there.
Okay, that's okay, but there's some sort of, I shouldn't be spending too, but there is some sort of significance. She's giving me that name, so there's some connection you need to make with that person.
Okay. I plan on it.
Okay, so you are welcome.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
I chuckle because at the one point, Sarah, while you were talking, I had heard a message to Gina, you deserve it. And then no sooner did I hear it, it was coming out of your mouth telling her that, you know, she deserves everything that's upcoming for her.
So is that something that you could relate to?
No, I'm saying I got some brief messages while you were relaying it. And no sooner had I been told a message for Gina, you deserve it, it had come out of your mouth.
I love that when that happens. Don't you love that when that happens? I love that when that happens.
That's why I was chuckling at the one point where you were talking. I kind of smiled and smirked because I had just heard it, and that was the message that I was given. And we have another caller. Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Who's calling?
Hi. Mary from New York.
Hi, Mary from New York. How are you?
I'm good, hon. I'm good. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I've been following you the last couple of weeks. I'm going up to Lilydale.
Oh, you are. Is it your first time?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's so exciting to go there. And also, be sure you make sure you see what's going on in Chautauqua, too, because that's a very nice place as well. Go see a concert there.
Is it? I'm just so really pumped up about going. So.
Oh, I'm so happy for you to be doing that. I hope you're going to be spending some time there.
Yeah, I'm going to be spending about 5 days.
That's good. That's enough to do a lot. You'll want to stay longer, I'll tell you, but you can get a lot done in 5 days. So what part of New York do you live in?
Well, I was born and raised in the Bronx, and I'm currently living up in Yonkers. Not too far.
Oh, okay. I have a little familiarity with that area from when I lived in New York. So I was just doing that to get a little sense of your, of your voice. So what is on your? Do you have anything in particular, or what's going on?
What do you see for me in the future as far as being in the spiritual?
Oh, okay. I would say because the fact that you're really psyched about going up to Lilydale tells me that you're really kind of opening up to a lot of stuff. And I'm getting a sense that in the past, I want to say 3 or 4 years, there have been some things opening up for you. And for some reason, I'm getting a sense that you may have been attracted to doing like maybe energy work, like Reiki or something like that.
Well,
or getting into meditation.
Well,
Pardon me?
I actually just booked for a Reiki healing for myself, but I'm into angel cards.
Okay, well, I know it's something like that, and I will warn you about getting Reiki because it happened to me. Once you get it, you're going to want to do it yourself.
Oh, I've had it
and
before.
I'm really...
Well, actually, we have a mutual friend, Catherine Hudson. She's somebody I grew up with, and she opens me up to the angel realm about.
Oh, that's great, and you'll find that if you do some Reiki, that's going to open you up to a whole lot of things. But I'm getting a sense of a smaller woman coming in from spirit who seems to be cheering you on with this sort of thing. Would there be, and I'm getting it, it's almost maybe like that she passed a long time ago. Would that be someone like a grandmother, an aunt, somebody like that who may have, I want to say she might have been a little bit different from the rest of the family?
My cousin Ellen.
Oh, okay. And she wants to say that back in her day, she couldn't be as forthright about that, and they all thought she was, just a little bit different, that sort of thing. But she's saying you are doing what she wanted to be a little bit more open about doing. And I'm seeing her working with things like getting things out of the garden to make your head ache and your stomach and that sort of thing feeling better, that she was very interested in that sort of thing. And everybody thought she was a little bit odd, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So she's really cheering, and she's saying that when you go up to Lilydale, that you are not going to be alone. She's so excited. She's going to be going up. She's going to be going up with you. And she's saying something about packing up. I don't know if there was some kind of a book that she liked, but she's saying be sure to pack that, and maybe a picture of her too.
I just bought a book, Dr. Dwyer's book today. So
I think that's what she's talking about.
Wow.
She's saying be sure to go up with that book, and I just saw a beautiful butterfly flutter by, so she wants to tell you that if you're seeing butterflies at odd times, she's sending those to you.
Wow. She's been on my mind a lot lately. She suffered.
Well,
What?
she.
Sorry, Sarah, go ahead. I have a question when you're finished for Mary.
No, I'm just saying that she is sending those to you, because if she's on your mind, she kind of gave me a little sock on my shoulder and said that I needed to mention her because she was kind of an older cousin, and she said she really wanted to be known. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you for that.
Mary, I keep getting the number 20. I don't know if it's in relation to the spirit that came that Sarah connected to, or just something completely different pertaining to you personally.
20?
Yes, 20. It could be a date, birth date. It could be age of somebody, an anniversary.
I got married on the 20th of October, but I'm no longer with him. I'm actually in love with somebody who moved to Pittsburgh.
Really? Oh! Okay. I don't know what the significance is, but 20 came through. The number 20.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if, like I said, if it's even connected to your cousin that Sarah got.
You know what I think she's trying to say is to remember that date, because she wants you to avoid the pitfalls that you went through with that in, whatever new relationship that you're going to be having. She's saying remember that date because that was a big learning experiences, and she wants you to learn the lessons that you started to learn from that day on, and do not repeat them, and it goes along with the selection of the person.
Okay.
Or what you want from the person.
And I'm also wondering, is 20 around her? Has she has it been 20 years since her passing?
No, I got married October 20th.
October.
But we're the
Okay.
best of friends, me
Right.
and my ex-husband.
Okay. All right. So there's some sort of something that's being pointed out to me to tell you for a reason.
Maybe I'm going to hear from the ex-boyfriend on the 20th.
No, I don't know. I think it's a date to remember the lessons that you learned from that. That's why I think that's what your cousin was trying to say. That the 20th is a significant date in that you need to look at the lessons you learned from the marriage.
Right. Didn't last long, but we became friends. You know, we were better friends when we got divorced. And we have a 34-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old granddaughter. So, you know, it was just something. I owed him a big amends because I didn't have a proper upbringing. And I knew nothing about being a wife, nothing about being a mother until I got into recovery of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, and that's where...
And I have to ask you, has your father crossed over?
Yes.
Because I have to tell you, a man just stepped in, and I was seeing him sitting at a bar with drinking some whiskey and a beer.
That was him.
Okay, they do come through. I'm in recovery too, so I have my, yes, they do come in very clear. So he just comes through to say congratulations that you did a lot better with that than he did, and he has to acknowledge wasn't too big on that when he was on the earth plane, but he said he has to really acknowledge that for you now.
Oh, I totally understand what he went through. And all is forgiven with him. You know, I forgave him.
Well, that's true, and he's saying he's very glad about that, but he's saying that's all well and good. Work on forgiving yourself, too. He said that's the most important thing.
And Sarah was right.
So I want to congratulate you with that, because because of my being in recovery, I do attract those on the other side that dealt with that as well.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for calling.
You are welcome.
Mary. Hope that helps
so much,
out.
Sarah.
We're going to run out of time, and I hope to maybe have time for one more very quick caller.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I'll see you in the Dale.
We also, before we get a call and end up having to cut out, why don't we jump the gun a little bit and, Sarah, inform everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. My number is 412-298-4051. Which is my cell phone. So if you're up in Lilydale when I am and want to call me up when I'm there or any place else, I can always be reached on that number. And then my website is www, and then it's Psychic Sara, no H, just psychicsara.webs, WEBS.com. And if you find me as Sara Sachs Psychic Medium on Facebook, and you'll find the website and all of the other the contact information if you don't have time, if you didn't get that all written down. That's a good way of doing it, too.
And Mary is typing in the chat room another thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome.
You can also find me at tarabymisha.com. Tara by Misha on Facebook. There's a fan page as well as a friend page. And I know that a lot of you's got the invite for the event for the show this evening. It's in the cards, has its own Facebook page, and so that you can keep on top of each week what is coming on. And when Sarah will be back, I'd love to have you back, and of course, on to open the phone lines the next time you're back. Don't forget to like the page, and then you can keep up and on top of everything. What do you have an something that stands out the most with a reading for you for whatever reason?
Oh, you mean anything in particular?
Anything in particular, maybe because it was something funny or, whatever the case might be.
Okay, I did have something funny happen last summer. It wasn't a funny occasion. This woman had lost her husband, who was beloved by everybody, and he was a singer. In fact, she played a song, but after the reading and everything. But when I was, and this just doesn't happen, but I do a lot of reference of movie stars and singers and that sort of thing, and I'm saying, why am I getting? I said, why am I getting Frank Sinatra? What was there about Frank Sinatra? And she said, we met Frank Sinatra. She and her husband years ago met Frank Sinatra, and no one was more surprised to hear that than me, because every mediumship teacher will tell you, you just don't get celebrity. You can get illusions, or the person looked like them, or they talked or sang like them, but you don't get celebrities that just come through. But I almost fell off the chair when she said, "Oh, that's because we knew him." I mean, that was pretty amazing.
That is.
And believe me, that will probably happen once or twice in an entire reading career. I mean, if that many times.
And that will be one that will always stand out as a memorable reading for you.
I could spend all night with stories, but that one just popped into my mind right now because it was just so unusual, and it was funny. It was like, oh my God, I almost dropped my connection because I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, that would throw you for a loop. People always wonder, do celebrities have ever come through and things like that? And like you said, it's not often that happens. One final question in the chat room, and then we're going to have to call it a night and have you back.
Okay.
What do you think?
Great.
What do you think of the Long Island medium and shows like that?
Okay, I think Teresa is very, very talented. I think I have been impressed with the kind of evidence that she gives. All of my mediumship teachers have been appalled by the fact of her going into grocery stores and the nail place and unsolicitedly giving messages, which is what we don't do it because we don't have it flipped on all the time. But I also realize that is a selling part and makes it just different than all the others that have been before. So I do appreciate that, but I have mixed feelings that that's sending out the right message to mediumship students, because it can be intrusive. But I realize that it's a TV show too. But I think she's a riot. I'd love to know her personally, and I think she has a very good connection with spirit in a real natural way. But I don't know that she keeps that flipped on all the time, because I would personally go I'd sort of end up in a loony bin if I were always turned on like that.
Right.
We aren't. You know that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, time is up. I'll schedule you to come back on, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. For those that were able to call in and get through, thank you very much. I hope that Sarah's messages that came through for you was of help. And I will see us all back here, same time, next Wednesday. Thanks so much, Sarah. Good night, everybody. Have a great week. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week of It's in the Cards. Welcome to all the new faces that I see out there. Feel free, there's new faces. Feel free to log in. You can join the chat that way. We'll be answering questions that get posted in the chat room throughout the show. If we have time at about 1:30, I will get the phone line opened as well for you to call in during the show and speak with my guest this evening personally. Her name is Sara Sachs, and she is a professional psychic and medium. She's local here in Pennsylvania. She's out in Pittsburgh. I always like to get a nearby neighbor.
People are just going to be hooking up right and left. I think it's going to be one of those springs.
Yes, yes. And they're saying backtracking on the snowiest winters that we've had, the hottest summers have followed. So we'll see. Right now, hot sounding wonderful. And we're on our way to it. So.
Right, yes, I know. And, well, of course, I'll always look forward to the summer and spending some time up in Lilydale and spending time between Lilydale here and some other places doing events and things like that. So I really love the summertime.
Yes, yes. You don't have to worry about travel plans having to be changed.
Right, yes. It was, I will say that going to a lot of events was a pretty scary experience, more so this winter than I...
Snowiest winters. That record got broken and made second place after all that weight stuff all winter long, coping with it.
Well, you had to have one last kicker in there, I guess, but we were very lucky here that we kind of missed that.
Yes, yes. You got hit with how about the ice storm that took the power out all over? Did you get that up there?
No, I don't think we did. I think it got a little slick, but it didn't. Of course, it seems like in a lot of instances it wasn't as bad as they had predicted it would be.
Yeah, it came down this way this year. Everything. You guys up north really didn't get too much.
Well, it looks like we're through the worst of it. And I was with a friend yesterday, and I got this psychic flash that because it was a rough winter and spring's coming late this year, I think that love is going to be bursting out all over. I think.
In the area or thereabouts. Pittsburgh's about 6 hours away from me, so not that close. She's joining me this evening for the first time, so I want to go over a little bit of her background for you all. She's able to see spirit, which is clairvoyant, and she can hear spirit, clairaudient. Since childhood, we will find out about how she got started and discovered her abilities as soon as I bring her on. She's also, in the summer, she can be found in Lilydale out in New York, so we're going to discuss that. And I have a couple of things that I saw that she had posted over the last couple days on Facebook that has curiosities going that I'm going to be asking her about, along with your questions. I don't want to waste any more time because I know you're going to be loaded with the questions, so I want to bring Sara on. Sara, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Terrific. Tomorrow's the first day of spring. It is Wednesday night. The traditional winter, for the most part, has been snow, but, tonight it's rain, which is fantastic to finally have for a change.
I think everybody's a little tired of winter right now.
Yes. All over. We hit, with the 3-4 inches of snow that was here. You probably didn't get anything over in Pittsburgh this past Monday. But
no, we didn't.
They broke the record. They were like 1 or 2 inches short of the second heaviest